Hello there, fellow peasants. So tonight I'm going to be talking about scary movies that actually scared me. I just want to preface this video real quick with, did these films really scare me? No. I could still go to bed later that night. They weren't so scary that I had to turn them off or anything. It was just, these are films that make me just kind of feel uneasy, tense, just things that just make you just give you creepy vibes. It's not necessarily like, oh my god, this is so scary, I gotta close my eyes, or I gotta, I can't sleep, I'm having nightmares. None of that crap. It's just films, because I've been watching scary movies pretty much most of my life, and so nothing really phases me, you know what I mean? And so it's hard to legit scare me. I don't think I've ever watched a film that legit terrified me. But let's get into it here. First one, and these aren't in any order. This isn't a countdown or anything. This is just a list. So, yeah. The Shining. So The Shining is super creepy. Jack Nicholson is a guy who goes crazy because he gets cabin fever in this hotel that he's watching after with his family. And one of the creepiest scenes in the film is the interview scene, actually, for me anyway. When the guy's explaining to Jack about what happened, and there's no music, there's nothing, it's just dead silence. And they're having a conversation about what happened, about the guy chopping his family up with the axe. And that's creepy. Another scene is creepy is the old lady in the bathtub. That's really creepy because she's like young and whatever at first, but then like he looks in the mirror and she's super old and like or whatever. She's all like rotting and decaying and stuff. So that's super creepy. And just throughout the whole movie, there's just a vibe throughout the whole movie, from the way it's shot, from the dialogue, from just the tone of the film all the way through is just unsettling. And so, The Shining, man, The Shining, it's creepy. Next is Sinister. Sinister, starring Ethan Hawke. He's a guy who moves into a house where a family was murdered to write a novel about the family being murdered, and or true crime. He's like a true crime novelist or something like that. But throughout the film, there's scenes where he's walking through the house, and it just builds great suspense. It's almost completely pitch black. Some scenes it is pitch black. All you really see is the light from his flashlight or his cell phone or whatever. And it just builds a lot of tension, because everyone knows what it's like to walk through a dark room and be scared, you know what I mean? And not know where the light switch is, and he also finds like video footage of like the serial killer and like the murders, because the killer or the demon or ghost or whatever it is, it filmed the murders. So he was finding these on like Super 8 film reels and stuff, and he's playing them up in the attic, and it's super creepy. So check that out sometime if you guys haven't seen that one. Next is The Conjuring. The Conjuring. I really like this movie. I'm not a big fan of the third act. I think it gets too supernaturally and shows too much at the end, but the first act and the second act are really great. There's a particular scene in the film where the little girl's looking over by the door, and she sees something, but you don't see what it is. She sees it. The sister in the room doesn't see it, but the one little girl sees it. And it's genius, because in horror films, especially with ghost stories and things like that, it's almost better. It's better almost every time that you don't see the ghost. You don't see what it is you're looking at, because it's called theater of the mind. And so the audience creates in their mind what they think the kid or the person is seeing in the film. And sometimes it's scarier than whatever you can put on film, because once you put it on film, it's subjective whether it's scary or not. But everyone in their mind knows what scares them, or what image is scary to them. And so they think of that when they watch a scene like that. And so, and the rest of the film, well, the first half of the film and a little bit more than that, also has like a unsettling, supernatural, creepy, something's going on, suspenseful mood, and I really like that. Next is The Thing. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing with Kurt Russell. Overall, the movie isn't scary or creepy. It's really just the special effects in it that do it for me in this one, where the dogs are growing legs and shit, and the dude's head rips off. He's like, you know what I mean? And then like it rips off, it falls onto the table, it falls off the table onto the floor, and then it grows spider legs and crawls out of the room, and Kurt Russell's like, and he's like, he's trying to torch this thing. Super creepy. It's just weird because it's like unnatural to see shit with like things growing out of it and dogs growing like 8 arms and shit. So it's weird. Next, The Silence of the Lambs. The Silence of the Lambs is not only an awesome film, and it's not only, I think it's the only horror film still to have ever won an Oscar for best. I think it got best film of the year, I believe. Correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Silence of the Lambs got best film of the year in 1991 or 2. But yeah. But anyway, what's creepy about Silence of the Lambs is its true crime forensic tone. You know, you almost forget you're watching a movie when you watch Silence of the Lambs. It's kind of like you're watching a true crime documentary when you watch it. It's just, the tone of it is super serious. It's very intellectual. It's very academic. You know, it's very serious. There's not hardly any humor in the film, if any at all. And just the way it's shot and directed, and the terminology that's thrown around in the film, it's great. And that's what makes it so unsettling, is you feel like you're watching a real serial killer true crime documentary thing, and that's what makes Silence of the Lambs creepy for me. Next is The Witch. So The Witch is creepy to me, not so much through the middle part of the film, but in the first act and the third act. The first act, you know, you see the family getting exiled. It's very ominous tones in there. You see the witch kidnap the baby, take it off to her lair or whatever. And then, so that's super creepy, and just the music, the score, and that's really creepy. And then towards the end of the film, when Black Phillip has killed the family, and she's kind of like, what's going on now? And then she gets taken off, she goes off into the woods with the coven of witches or whatever. And so the whole first act and third act are very unsettling and creepy, as you would expect from a movie that's about, you know, a witch trying to possess and kill a family in the 1600s in, you know, New England. So Robert Eggers did a really great job. I just think the movie's a little too slow in the middle for me. Nothing really creepy happens there, I don't think. I think it kind of drags there and loses my attention, but definitely the first and third act of The Witch are very, very creepy. And lastly is The Exorcist. The Exorcist is it's relentless. Its tone stays the same all the way through the film, up until the point that Karras throws himself out the window. The tension constantly builds. There's constantly a feeling of what's going to happen. I can't believe this is happening. What's going to happen next? I can't, you know, it's constant tension and dread, and that tone holds throughout the whole film. It never breaks until the very end, when he throws himself out the window and you can finally breathe, and you're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because it just builds and builds. It's one thing after another. She's becoming possessed slowly, and it's just a slow burn, and it constantly amps up all the way to and it just ratchets and ratchets and ratchets the tension all the way until that final point. And so, because it's not super creepy to me about the possession, like the, you know, yeah, I mean, her puking and head spinning and all that, like that's weird to look at and creepy, but it's just the overall vibe of the film, the tone, how serious it is, the score, the atmosphere that's created by the dialogue, the music, the scenery, the pacing of the film, the editing. her going to the doctor, how real the office appointments are. They seem very, like, the medical procedures are super realistic and creepy. And so, yeah, it's The Exorcist is a really creepy movie, and not in my opinion, not just because of all the exorcism-y type stuff in it. It's more just the overall feel and tone of the film through suspense and drama and dread that it creates. And that's about it, guys. Those are the scary movies that actually scared me. Once again, I don't mean scared as in I shit my pants and I couldn't go to bed later that night. Just that feeling of like, something's off here. This is weird. I'm a little uncomfortable. I feel a little weird when I go down to the basement, or, you know what I mean? So, let me know down in the comments below what films have actually scared you, if any at all. And subscribe if you want to. And other than that, guys, have a good night, peasants. Peace out. Bye-bye.